you should have gotten the property of equality for division. Okay, property of equality for division, that's because you divided by 3 on both sides. Okay, in box number 2, I see that they subtracted 7 on both sides, so that's the property of equality for subtraction. Number 3, they used the distributive property. And then the last box, all they did was reverse the sides, like 22 went to the right side and 3x plus 7 went to the left. That's called the symmetric property. Okay? Alright, question 2. Identify the property used in each step of solving the equation. From this line to this line, I notice that the 6 is no longer there, and all of a sudden the 55 is a 49. That's because they subtracted 6 on both sides, which is the property of equality for subtraction. Okay, and then from this line to this line, I noticed the 7 disappeared and the 49 became a 7 because they divided by 7, so they used the property of equality for division. Okay, number 3, they wanted you to circle 2 mistakes or find 2 mistakes. The first mistake you would have found is that they forgot to distribute the 6 to the negative 4. They did 6 times 2x to get 12x, but 6 times negative 4 should have been a negative 24 here, so that's the first mistake. Then, it was negative, so regardless of what number it was, shouldn't they have added it on both sides? So that's their second mistake. They did the inverse operations incorrectly. Number 4, given y equals mx plus b, solve for x. When you solve this correctly, you would have ended up with x equals y minus b over m. Okay, now let's talk about how you get that. If you start out with y equals mx plus b, and they tell you to solve for x, what would you do to both sides first? Okay, so that's the property of equality for subtraction. You're subtracting b on both sides. Now you have y minus b equals mx. So now to isolate the x, what do you do on both sides? Correct, divide by m, which is the property of equality for division. And so those cancel out, and you're left with y minus b over m equals x. Isn't x by itself? Yes. What property says that instead of writing it like this, I can write it x equals y minus b over m? Symmetric. Okay, number 5. Given a equals 2b plus 2c, solve for b. So you would have ended up with b equals a minus 2c over 2. Or they may have gone ahead and simplified it a little further to a over 2 minus c. Now, because look, a divided by 2, you can't reduce that. But a negative 2 divided by 2 is a negative 1, and then c. Now, the way they got that is they took a equals 2b plus 2c, and they solved for b. The first thing would subtract 2c on both sides, property of equality for subtraction. And then to isolate that b, they would use the property of equality for division and divide by 2 on both sides, which left b equals that, which reduces to that. Any questions? Okay, number 6. When solved for x, you would have x equals 3 times y plus 6. Or, if you don't see that, it could be that they went ahead and distributed that 3 and got 3y plus 18. Okay, now let's talk about why they get that. X divided by 3 minus 6 equals y. They want you to solve for x. So the first thing you would have done is added 6 on both sides, property of equality for addition. And then you would have been left with x over 3 equals y plus 6. Now you would have used the property of equality for multiplication and multiplied by 3 on both sides. Now, when you go to multiply over here, you have to keep in mind that all of this was already here. So you multiply all of it by 3, which is why it ended up looking like that, and then distributed would look like that. Okay? All right. X minus 8 plus 2x over 2 is greater than 7. Now, this is an exception. Anytime there's a denominator, you have to get rid of it first. So how do we get rid of that 2 on the bottom? Multiply by 2. Okay, because it's already being divided by 2, so we have to do the opposite and multiply by 2. So now I have x minus 8 plus 2x is greater than 14. Now what can I do? Well, before I move anything to this side, shouldn't I combine this 1x and that 2x and make 3x over here? And now what can I do? Add 8. So I'm performing the property of equality for addition. Now I have 3x is greater, sorry, I was about to write it to the side. 3x is greater than 22, and now what do I do on both sides? Divide by 3. So x is greater than 22 over 3, or it may be a decimal 7.33. Okay, once you've written that down, go ahead and go to the next page. Number 8, they want you to solve this inequality and graph the solution. Okay, so how do I solve that? Divide by negative 3 on both sides. So it'll be x is, well, that becomes a negative 7. What sign? Less than. Look, we divided by a negative number, so you must flip the sign. Think about it. If you had kept it x is greater than negative 8, what's the number that's greater than x is greater than negative 7. What's the number greater than negative 7? Negative 6 is greater than negative 7, right? If I plug in a negative 6 up here, negative 3 times negative 6 is 18. Is 18 greater than 21? No. So see why numbers greater than negative 7 didn't work? Now pick a number that's actually less than negative 7. Okay, if I plug in negative 8, what's negative 3 times negative 8? Positive 24. Is that a true statement? Yes. So numbers that are less than negative 7, like negative 8, negative 9, negative 10, and so on, they are the solutions to this. They would make the true statements. That's why it's so important to flip that sign, because we divided by negative 3. Now I'm getting ready to graph it. So what number do I circle? Negative 7. Is it opened or closed? Open, because there's no equal to bar. And then all the solutions are less than negative 7, which is to the left. Also, see how this is pointing left? So I draw my arrow left. Now that only works, being able to read this sign only works when what? When the variable's on the left. Okay, like had it been written like this, you wouldn't go right just because that sign's pointing right. You would actually do the opposite way. You would go left because x is on the wrong side. But when x is on the left side of the problem, just go the way the sign's pointing. Okay, number 9. The sum of 3 consecutive numbers is 42. Write and simplify the equation to model this. Well, what do they mean, 3 consecutive numbers? Give me an example of 3 consecutive numbers. Okay, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so if I use the letter x to represent 6, so just think of this x as a 6. How can I represent 7? X plus 1, because that's like 6 plus 1 is 7. How can I represent 8? Right, and then those are supposed to sum, which means add up, to 42. Now what would I do next? Combine like terms, and that would give me, right? So there's your equation. Now they want me to solve for x. So what do I do first? Subtract the 3 and get 3x equals 39, and then I divide by 3. And so x equals 13. Okay, but remember, x, if that's 13, then 13 plus 1 would be 14, and 13 plus 2 would be 15. Do those three numbers add up to 42? Yes, so those are your three numbers. Remember, if you get to a question like this on the test and it says like 3 consecutive even numbers or 3 consecutive odd numbers, aren't you going to have to do like x, x plus 2, and x plus 4? That way you're skipping every other number. Alright, number 10. Devin is saving money to buy a new car. So far he has saved up $6,500 and he plans to save $300 a week from his paycheck. He wants to spend no more than $9,000 on the car. Write an inequality to model the number of weeks it will take him to be able to buy the car. Okay? How did y'all start yours? 9,000. Well, it should be greater than or equal to because no more than. So is he willing to spend 9,000? Yeah. If I say I'm no willing to spend more than 9,000, I'm willing to spend 9,000, just no more than that. So it has to have an equal to bar. And then the 6,500 he's starting with plus the 300 a week. Now, some of you may have written it like this. Oops. 6,500 is what he's got, plus he's saving 300 more each week, and then that all needs to be either less than 9,000 or equal to 9,000. Either way is fine. Okay, and they didn't ask you to actually solve, they just said write the inequality, so that's all they want. Okay? Alright, Wednesday we will finish going over this review sheet. So tomorrow, since you're out, would be a good day to study 1 through 10 and be studying your flashcards. The test will begin Thursday.